If you need to repeat anything more than once, then you will most likely need a reusable function. A function is a block of code which only runs when it's called. Functions typically take 0 or more inputs, known as parameters, and return an output. Functions are declared with the def keyword and return data with the return keyword. Let's look at an example in Python. We are going to create a function that calculates points per game. So to do this, let's define it, and we'll call it a points per game that takes two parameters. The first is total points, and the second is games played. There are a few things to notice with the function. The first is we have to use the colon after defining it. So we define our function, add a colon, hit enter, and you'll notice that the indentation happens automatically. Now within it, we're going to want to tell it how to calculate the points per game. So to calculate the points per game, we take the total points and we divide it by the games played. Now we can save this into a variable, we'll call it ppg, and that's exactly what we're going to want to return with our function. So we'll return ppg. And let's run it. So now we can call our function with the appropriate variables inserted. For example, let's say someone scored 1,507 total points in 55 games. If we inserted that in the points per game as the two parameters, so 1,507 total points in 55 games, and we run it, we get the average of 27.4. Now, what if I told you the 1,507 points was LeBron total points, and the 55 games were LeBron's total games played, or actually let's just call it LeBron games played to keep it consistent. We could run it again, this time passing in the variable names, LeBron total points, LeBron games played, and we should get the same number. So what if we did it saying points per game, and we input 2606 points, which is a lot, in 72 games, and I told you this is Harden ppg, we could assign that to the variable output. So right now we're not going to see anything returned, but it's actually in the Harden ppg variable, and then if we were to print Harden ppg, we get his 36.19444. So it looks like it's let's print it, let's round it to 2 decimal points. Let's actually round it to 1 to make it look nice. 36.2. Python functions are first class, which means we can assign them variables and pass them into functions just like any other arguments. You'll see this when we start to call functions within functions.